Yeah, welcome to another episode of Arts Place, conservative talk from a different view. We've got a great show today. Lloyd and we're going to be talking about COVID fatigue. And then we'll talk about what's going on in the election or the post election. We'll talk about the counting, ballot counting, and all the lawsuits that are going on, and we'll kind of talk about what it's looking like. We might even talk about a little bit about the Supreme Court. We had a pretty interesting development there. So let's welcome to the show my co-host, and we'll unmute him. Lloyd Mendenhall, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. How you
Well,
doing,
hello,
sir?
Art. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm here. I'm awake. I got coffee in my hand, you know, and willing to get ready, So I just got a
Awesome.
thing. I just got a joke that popped across that says Christmas now feels more like a deadline than a holiday.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's getting that way. So how are you doing, Art?
I'm doing pretty good. Busy as a beaver with all the overtime the company has given me, which is awesome because now I have a nice big checks coming in and I could pay off debt, credit cards, and
Right.
have enough left over for Christmas.
Oh,
Uh,
that's nice.
yeah, and my niece's birthday is on the 14th of December. She will be 51.
Oh,
So,
okay.
mhm.
All right.
So get something for her and uh, help out some of my god kids out in the Philippines. Send them a few bucks and get them
Okay.
going. Oh, and speaking of the Philippines, I do have a GoFundMe account that I set up for Typhoon Ulysses relief program.
Right.
Uh, Set up a GoFundMe account, and so you folks in the chat or watching this, if you could go to my GoFundMe, you know what I'll do is I'll throw in
Yeah.
the link and hold on a sec. Okay, GoFundMe. There we go. Almost there, almost there.
That's right. They got hit with a typhoon over there, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, that was a week
A
ago.
week ago. Yeah.
Category 3, which caused a lot of damage on
Yeah.
the east coast of the main island.
Right.
Okay, we will get the. Alrighty. So here is the link. Alrighty, there it
There it is.
is.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you could throw in a few bucks so far, I've raised $64. The goal is $500, and the money is going to go to the Rotary Club that my friend James Tanner is a member of, and
Right.
they
Yeah.
will get
My PI dream.
the money to the right people instead of like some of these funds were 89% goes to administrative costs.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Joe Biden set up a fund for cancer research, brain cancer research, because his son uh,
Right. Yeah. His
died
son
of a
died
brain
from it.
cancer.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know how much of that money went to brain cancer research?
Probably about 10%.
You're wrong. It's none.
Really?
Yep.
This is the kind of stuff that just just chaps my cheeks, man. I just get
Hmm.
so ticked off at these.
Yep.
Uh, you know, I get the we had we had a wildfire, and I live in town, but it was a wind-driven wildfire here
Right.
in 2012. Just about it. I mean, it burned. Fortunately, we have a brick home, or we'd have probably lost it. But it burned right up. There's still scorch marks on the brick out there. But
Wow.
we had a high wind, is like probably about 35, 40 miles an hour, and the power lines that run down the alley, which is actually at the end of our house because we're on a cross street, but it snapped one of the tips of the pole off, and the power line came down and snapped in two and started sparking and set all the grass around
Oh.
here on fire. And with the winds, it just drove it. And then anyways, we ended up with, I think it was about $60,000 worth of
Oh
damage
boy.
between because my storage building got burned up,
Oh.
and I got like
Mm-hmm.
$12,000 out of that alone. And
Yeah.
I told him, just give me $500. Says, no, we're going to inventory. And I ended up getting $12,000 out of it.
Ooh.
So I was really glad that they forced me to do that. And they came in and cleaned up the house because we had smoke damage. They had to change our
Yeah.
floor out because the way the fire was burning all the way around the house, they had to bring it from the front door to the back door
Right.
just to get to this back
Mm-hmm.
section back here. And, but anyways, after that, I had one of I donated to my local fire department, and then somehow my name got on a calling list, and I had this Firefighters Association of Botswana or someplace call me up, and
Right.
and every year, and because my son's a police officer, I've donated to a couple of the police places. Now they call me and say, "Well, if you can't afford $50, can you afford 25?" I said, "No, I've given. I'm on a fixed income. That's it." Well, we understand that. We don't want to put you in any hardship in these hard times. How about 15? I said, how about no?
Yeah.
And
How
then,
about take my name off your list?
yeah, and I tell them, I
Yeah.
said, you need to remove my name from the list. I give locally. I don't give to these organizations. They spend uh, more time paying these groups and these agencies
Yep.
to go and uh,
Raise money.
raise money, and
Yeah.
hardly any of it ever. If they're lucky, if out of every $1,000, they might get 50 cents that actually goes to the organization. You know, and
Yeah.
it's just they're just such rip-offs,
Yeah.
and
It's a racket.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. They've got groups. There was one that my cousin was a member of the American Legion, and every
Right.
year the American Legion would start a fundraiser. That's where they got some of their money, in which they would, I don't know, some musical or something they'd put on, or somebody would put on, and they'd donate the tickets to this, or maybe it was
Mm-hmm.
might have been a concert of somebody they brought in from out of town, and they would have people cold call people to get them to donate and buy a couple of tickets for the kids at the blind school. Well,
Right.
kids at the blind school couldn't see this. And I mean that sounds really bad, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yep.
and what it was the concert gave out so many tickets anyways for the because we have a Oklahoma Rehabilitation Center, which is the School of the Blind here
Right.
in Muskogee. It's for the state School of the Blind. They were giving these tickets anyways, but this company had figured out that they could use that to make money, and they paid, and we didn't know it at the time, but it's when I first got sick, and Judy would go to work uh, for my cousin so that
Yeah. Anybody
I'm just
popping in?
oh yeah, BMAC. He says, "Don't
Oh,
y'all know? Aren't y'all aware that this is YouTube and has been there's a banner, a chat screen that says the AP has called the presidential race for Joe Biden. Now they can call it all they want. It's not decided yet."
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been seeing that too. And noise. I there's usually something you can click on that says, "I don't want to see this."
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, these fundraisers just rip people off. Thought it was a little odd, given the nature of our show. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, it is definitely odd, but anyways, like you said, uh, James Tanner, his Rotary Club does a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did some work with them back when I was in the service back, in the dark ages.
Back in olden days,
Yeah, back in the olden days.
last century.
Yeah, last century, maybe the century before. At least last millennium.
Yeah,
God, that was 5 decades ago, 6 decades ago. It was something. Yeah, I know.
boy.
Start adding decades, it gets bad.
Yeah, yeah,
But anyways, moving right along. But yeah,
yeah,
keep that in mind about the Philippine typhoon relief.
yeah.
You may have to copy and paste that. I don't know why it didn't.
Okay, I'll do that.
I don't know why it didn't click up as a link. Let me see if I can, because I got it here. Uh, there we go. Let me pop that up real quick. See if that goes as a link. I don't know why it didn't go as a link before. Okay, this time it did. When you did it, for some reason it didn't, but I've got it up there now, and that is a direct link uh, to that. I had to do a
All
copy.
right, I
Yeah.
also put it in the banner down below.
Oh, did you? Okay. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see that now.
Yeah, so if you folks could help out, that would be awesome. And so trying to get that going, and yeah, those people really need help. I have a video on Artco drone solution that I did for the GoFundMe, and yeah, it's a pretty good video, pretty powerful. So
Right, right.
go check that out. And
Okay.
so this kind of leads us into our first topic: COVID fatigue. It's getting to a point that we're having all these shutdowns and quasi shutdowns going on around
Yeah.
the country, and people are just getting, they're just like blowing it off, and I don't blame them. People are just like going, oh yeah, whatever, and
Yeah.
people are just getting really fatigued.
Well,
It's old news.
we've got to have well, that we've got to have human contact, and when you're being isolated
Yeah.
from it, and you and I were talking before the show. Part of Judy's problem, I think, right now is she's just giving up. I
Mm,
mean, she's been fighting for a long time with her health, and the boys don't come over. Pat, our youngest son, he doesn't come by because, well, his wife's a nurse, so he's been
mhm.
exposed to it. Plus,
Right.
he was supposed to come by, and I said, if you'll just put on a mask with him, she'll put on a mask, and you stand in the kitchen and talk to
Hmm.
her through the bedroom door, where she can see you. Okay. And well, he contacted me. He was supposed to be by Monday, and he contacts me and says,
Hmm.
"Dad, I can't come by because, uh, or maybe he's supposed to be by sometime this week. He's supposed to be by." He says, "I just got exposed. We just had two more cases right here in the shop where I work." He says, "I'm not bringing that into the house." And so then I
Hmm.
talked to my oldest son, the police chief, and he says, he says, "I don't want to be the one responsible for killing dad or killing
Yeah.
killing mom. I don't think he
Right.
care if he killed me, but he'd feel
Mm-hmm.
bad if he killed his mom, you know.
Yeah.
And but I said, come in here, stand out in the kitchen. You can, you know, she just got to hear somebody besides me talking, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's just, you know, a lot of that's depression. You know that
Mm-hmm.
uh, I don't know who it was. I saw on one of the YouTube channels. It was one of the it was in one of the chats, and they were talking about they live in England, and they're a droner. You know, one of the drone people. One of the
Oh, that was that on Kelly's
it
show on Friday?
it wasn't Friday, but it might have been the week before.
Okay.
Might have been on Greg's show or something. I can't remember. But they
Okay.
said that England was going for another lockdown, and he says,
Mm-hmm.
"I don't think I can go on. I can't handle it." He says,
Yeah.
I'm ready to kill myself."
Yeah.
And you know,
Sean from Geetsvana
it
was
wasn't
talking
Geeks Fun.
about it.
Well, he might
But
have been talking about it, yeah, because I did
yeah.
hear Kelly's show Friday. But it was somebody in the chat, and I can't remember who it was. And he was saying, "We just got told we were on lockdown." He says, "I don't think I can make it through another lockdown."
Yeah.
He says, "If I can't get out and do something," he says, "I'm going to." He says, "I'm." Says,
Mm-hmm.
"I'll kill myself." Yeah. Now, whether it's serious or not, I don't know, but
Yeah.
still, uh, that's what you know. Like you said, people are just getting tired of it, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And
Yeah, here in Colorado we're now at level red. So they changed the color uh,
yeah,
schedules. I
they have
guess chartreuse isn't one of the colors anymore. So we're at red. Red used to be the top tier,
right, right,
which
right.
meant total lockdown. Now they moved the goalpost, so to speak. So code purple is now,
Well, they're trying
uh,
to get that rainbow
uh,
flag up
you
there.
know, stay at home, lockdown. Yeah,
Well, you know, like I said, they got to have that rainbow flag representation
yeah,
up there.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we do have a gay governor
Well, okay, there
who
you go.
doesn't live at the governor's mansion. He lives at his stately palace in Boulder, Colorado.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, Boulder was whacked out back when I was young. I was working. I had, you know, the Boulder Justice Center. Hello, Rick Halber. Uh,
Hey, Rick Halbert, welcome, welcome.
uh, I was. We had a. It was. Well, you've seen the show Mork and Mindy, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When she pulls up in the Jeep in front of that building,
Mm-hmm.
that was the jail and Justice Center there in Boulder. Well,
Ah,
I worked on that before. All it was framework, and we were doing the commercial insulation. You know, putting the cold duct, the cold sweat pipes in the duct work, and we were insulating all that.
right.
And I got sent up there to do that. And one day, oh, and my brother was he was my I was a non-union worker, and
Ooh, ooh,
yeah,
ooh.
I still had to pay the union. Funny that I had to pay them. I had to pay the union out of my paycheck for the privilege of working as a non-union worker. Yeah. But
Ah,
anyways, yeah. And this is the '70s. You know, the union still had a lot of control back
mm-hmm.
then. And I don't think Jimmy Hoffa had disappeared yet or anything like that. But anyways, uh, we went to lunch there in Boulder. Just left from where we were working. Just went over to
Mm-hmm.
get us a hamburger or something different. And oh my God, I got into that town and started looking around, and it's like that was the weirdest place I'd ever been. You know, first off, you had the Hare Krishnas were everywhere, and they were standing on the corner, their shaved heads, you know, tapping their tambourines and you know their finger cymbals, and like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, yeah, I knew then Boulder was lost. You know, Boulder was already whacked out in the '70s.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, and this was the early '70s too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so they were completely they were a complete whack job back then, and of course, what was fun is we ended up going to Boulder University of Colorado in Boulder, and
Yep.
uh, we went and ate at the Alfred Packard Hall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. In case you guys don't know, Alfie Packer was the famous cannibal
cannibal.
here in Colorado,
And went in
and
the mountains with 12 New Deal Democrats and came back with none.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I remember the way the poem or the song goes.
And I think we used to have an Alfie Packer Day here in
Yeah,
Colorado.
yeah.
I don't think they celebrate anymore. I
No,
think it's not very
yeah,
PC.
yeah. And I think a lot of that became, you know, there was a lot of urban legend involved in that. Well, we didn't have the term urban legend,
Yeah.
uh, it was just a lot of rumors and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that about that then,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he was later finally, I think he served time in jail, but he was
Yeah,
eventually,
he did.
I think he served 12 years,
Mm-hmm.
if I remember right, but don't ask me why I know so much about it, except that it was a big deal when I was, especially when I got to go to Packer Hall and eat there. You know, the University of
Mm-hmm.
Colorado's cafeteria was called Packer Hall.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that when we walked in, and of course I already knew who he was growing up in Colorado.
Mm.
Kind of knew who he was back then. And but yeah, I think the governor finally pardoned him of all that.
Pardon him. Yeah.
Yeah, gave him full
Mm-hmm.
pardon. But speaking of governors, we were talking here a while back about Governor Love.
Yeah.
Well, remember the song? Uh, there was a song that came out when he was running for governor, and I think his second term or whatever. And all of us, it was a joke, and the joke was, what did the alligator say when he ate the Colorado governor?
What?
Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy.
Oh.
Remember that song?
Yep.
That was the joke that was going around when he was running for governor. All of us kids well, we weren't kids, but a lot of the people were humming that and singing that, and they even played it on the radio. A couple of shows,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of DJs would play that. They'd tell that joke and then go right into that song. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know who did the song.
Well, we got Google,
Yeah, we
so
do. But yeah, that
that's
was
it.
the joke about Governor Love, and
Okay.
I thought of that the other day. I thought, man, I hope I can remember this story when I talk to Art on the show here. And
Mm.
apparently, I remembered it. Anyways, what we were talking about?
We were talking about
COVID
COVID fatigue and the different
levels. Yeah,
levels.
yeah.
And so, what's going on in your state? Has it changed? Are you on lockdown or
Well,
modified
yeah, they've got some
curfew
sort
or?
of. The state has declared that the bars can only stay open till 11 o'clock,
Oh,
and restaurants are at like 25% capacity, or maybe 50%.
mm-hmm.
Uh, it's still up to each individual city to decide whether to have a mask mandate. Here in Muskogee, we chose not to have one,
Right.
uh, but in Broken Arrow, which is where where the hospital and our doctor's office is
Mm-hmm.
at, now they chose not to have one, but every single town around them has voted a mask mandate, and
Yeah.
we're talking Owasso, Catoosa,
Mm-hmm.
all, Tulsa, all the little communities around
Mm-hmm.
the bedroom communities of Tulsa, and
Mm-hmm.
they've, all voted for mask mandates. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, some of our schools, we actually, they pulled part of the schools out to put them on distance learning about 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Now they're going to start them back up to uh, going back.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks ago, they said, "Oh, we got plenty of beds." Last week, they said we're out of beds. So, it's and it's that third wave or whatever. And
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so, uh, but Yeah, we've 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 kind of we're Oklahoma. We like to be independent. We're
Hmm.
conservative. We, you know,
And
there.
they're okay too.
Yeah, Oklahoma is okay.
Yeah.
You know, and but we've kind of taken a wait and see attitude.
Right.
Let's use some common sense.
Hmm.
Let's pretend we have an actual brain in our head.
Right.
And all right, okay, this is nasty. If
Hmm.
you're somebody, I see a lot of people still not wearing masks. And
Hmm.
the thing is we don't have anybody shaming them for not wearing
Hmm.
masks, and we don't have anybody shaming us for wearing masks. If you choose to
Right.
wear a mask, that's your choice. If you
Right.
choose not to, that's your choice. You
And
know,
that's how it should be.
yeah,
Here in Colorado, the color level red is only affecting 15 counties, and those are most of the counties on the Front Range and Mesa County, which is
really.
over there in
Yeah, it's
Grand
my county.
Junction.
Yeah,
Yep. Hmm.
yeah. That's,
So
that's where my first son from my
it's
first marriage was born.
Adams County,
I grew up in Adams County,
Douglas County, Denver County,
right?
Arapahoe County, Jefferson County, Broomfield County, and I think Weld County, and
Okay,
Washington County, and
right. Washington County is up there
I
on
think
north.
Elbert, or not Elbert, but El Paso,
Yeah,
and what's the county? Oh, Pueblo County, I think.
right.
You
Yeah.
know, or is that Wharf? No. Where is Pueblo? What county? Is that a county? I don't
I
think
don't
it's its
know.
own.
I don't think it's its own county.
Yeah, I think it's Huerfano.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Mesa
But
County, Adams County is where I grew up until I was almost 15. And matter of fact, we moved there probably the month before we moved there uh, Labor Day weekend
uh
from
huh.
Adams County to Mesa County,
Mm-hmm.
and then I
Yep.
gr- finished
Here's some
school.
interesting trivia, Colorado trivia. Uh, Before 1904, uh, there was no Adams County. What county was it?
I don't know.
It was Arapahoe County.
Oh,
And it
okay.
was a big county. It
The
used
big
to
county that.
stretch from Jefferson County all the way to the Kansas border.
Okay, I remember that. Well, I don't
And
remember. I
then they
remember it.
split it up into, well, they split it to three counties.
Right.
Adams County was south of Colfax, and Adams County was north of Colfax. And then Denver became its own county.
Right. Right.
And name the only other city that's its own county.
In Colorado,
Hmm. Yep, I just mentioned it.
Pueblo.
No,
No. Arapahoe.
Arapahoe is Broomfield County.
Broomfield
Remember the
County.
city of
Okay, Broomfield.
Broomfield?
Yeah.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
reason
Yeah.
they wanted to be its own county was because originally Broomfield was in three different counties.
Ah. Okay. Yeah.
It was in Adams County,
Right.
Boulder County, and Jefferson County.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you lived, depending on which part of the city, you didn't know, okay, I live here, where do I have to go to get my car registered?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was really, really weird.
That's been a long time since I. Here's something. Most kids have to take state history in school.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, in Colorado, hey Grant, in Colorado, you took it in ninth grade.
Right?
Okay. Well, at least when I was going to school. And well, not in Colorado, in Denver or
Ah,
District 51.
uh-huh.
Yeah, District 51, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyways, whatever district was over on that side of the slope, you
right.
took it in ninth grade. Well, I moved in ninth grade. When I got over to school district, actually, I think 51 was in Mesa County and 50 was over in Denver. So when I
Okay.
got over to the new one, they taught it in eighth grade. So I never had any state history
Oh,
the whole time. I graduated high school without ever
mm.
having to have state history.
Well, I learned about Colorado state history when I was in college because I love history,
Right, right,
and we had a really good professor who, by the way, is the go-to guy for all the media here in Denver. They have a question about either Denver or Colorado history. They go to Dr. Thomas Noel, who
Oh,
was my
okay,
professor when I was going to University of Colorado at Denver for a short time.
okay,
All right, so let's get back into
right,
so Colorado is on a modified shutdown.
right,
Oklahoma is freer.
yeah,
California just went on lockdown again.
right,
Uh, Oregon, Washington, they're on lockdown. New York is on a lockdown again,
right,
and Rhode Island and a bunch of those northeastern states are all
mhm,
on uh, total lockdown.
yeah,
And but I don't know about any midwestern states. They're probably on a modified lockdown because just in the last 2 or 3 weeks, the
it's been
virus has
it
exploded.
exploded. Yeah,
It's
that's
really
what happened
going.
here. It's like I was saying. 3 weeks ago they had the spokespeople from the hospital saying, "Hey, we got plenty of ICU rooms. Everything was good."
Mm,
And last week they came on and says, we're at max capacity." Speaking of lockdowns, Grant Smith, who lives in South Australia, the state of
right?
South Australia, they just went on lockdown this week,
Mm,
and
mm-hmm.
so it's yeah, it's on the rise again, and
Yeah,
I mean, look at how many we were just talking before the show. How many people that we know of right now? Yeah,
yeah.
we didn't know anybody except maybe. Uh,
Mike from GFO Drones.
Yeah, and then we got
We
uh,
got Chris from QC Guy.
right,
He's
and
got the COVID now, the
yeah,
Rona. Ron
and Ron
Lockwood.
Lockwood.
Uh,
Who
who
else was it?
else?
Oh, Kelly Green from
Kelly Green. Yeah.
and from what I
Mm-hmm.
understand, he's pretty sick. At least he was Thursday
Yeah.
night. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and before we didn't hardly know anybody. The only one I knew about was oh, he's on.
Well, how about our guest that we had on a couple weeks ago,
Oh
Jimmy
yeah,
Singenberg?
yeah,
He
yeah.
had the Rona while we were doing the
While
show.
we were doing the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hope I
He's
didn't
doing
catch.
much better.
Is he good? Good, good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as Grant says, in there are new strains of the virus. It's going to mutate.
Yeah.
And oh, and Rick says, I guess Kelly's wife has it.
Oh boy. Yeah.
I think that's who he's talking about. Oh, Bob Casey and his wife. That's who it is. Bob
Oh.
Casey has it. Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah,
Wow.
and
Now
yeah,
I was thinking, okay, so we've got this vaccine that's coming out that
right.
they'll probably come out in at the end of this year or early next year.
Yeah.
Guess what? Here in Colorado, Grandpa gets to take a back seat to the prisoners in jails and because they get the vaccine before
Oh, good
your
grief.
grandparents.
Yeah, I was. There
How
was
messed
something
up is that?
that is messed up. I was going to look at it, and I just didn't. They had a news conference from our health department here in Oklahoma about who was going to get the vaccines first.
Hmm.
And
First
uh,
responders will get it
yeah,
first. Military.
I do know that somebody was saying that we could volunteer for this first phase, if we want to,
Oh.
and all you got to do is contact whoever it is.
Hmm.
Here's a little side note to that. President Trump the other day announced that he had gotten, or last week, that he had gotten the price of the EpiPens and the uh, uh, oh, for sugar diabetes, the
Right.
insulin. He'd got the prices dropped to really dramatic,
Oh,
so
great.
that they could afford them.
Wonderful.
And he negotiated hard. Well, that was part of the reason that they didn't announce this pick me. I can understand America the
Yeah.
same way,
That's.
you know. And but that was part of the reason they didn't announce that they had this available, or that they had the breakthrough on it until after the election, was to get back at Trump for strong arming them into dropping the prices on insulin
Ah,
and
okay.
epi, because
Mm.
they jacked that epi price up just
Oh,
absolutely
yeah.
ridiculous. That was
Hmm.
just uncalled for. A
Hmm.
lot of people were going to Canada to get their uh,
Insulin?
insulin. Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's
Hmm.
no need for that. Hey, we develop most of this medicine around the world. We should, by God,
Yeah.
have it here first. We should have first shot at it,
Yeah.
and I'll always believe that. But you know, they're in it to
Mm.
make money, and they decide we're the people they're going to make the money from.
Well, a lot of it is they gotta recover their costs because
Yeah, but why
it
should we have to
costs
pay for it?
a crap load of money
Oh, I
to
understand.
develop these vaccines or cures, and a lot of it, that money is, you know, okay. They're working on a drug or a vaccine for something else, and that doesn't work out. Well, they
Right.
gotta recover the costs of that. That's why our drugs are so
Well,
expensive.
I don't have a
Eh,
problem with that. I understand they've got to recover their cost, but why do Americans have to pay the higher percentage? Why can't they spread it out evenly around the world? Why
Well,
do they sell that same drug in Canada cheaper, or in, you know, let's
mm-hmm,
smooth it out. Let's make it, let's set one price, and,
mm-hmm,
instead, let's the the Americans who, you know, were the developers, were the ones paying taxes in this
mm-hmm,
country. And yeah, there's all sorts of reasons why it doesn't have to be the Americans that pay the bulk of it. We pay the
mm-hmm,
bulk of everything else around the world. Why should
mm-hmm,
we have to pay the bulk of something developed here in the United States?
mm-hmm.
And that's always been my argument. I don't have a problem with their recouping, but hey, they can recoup it from some of these other countries too.
Yeah,
Let's
and that
let's
I
jack
I
over
agree
let's
too.
jack
But
over England and France and Canada for a while. Let
mm-hmm,
let them pay the higher prices, and we get it on a
mm-hmm,
fair price. If they spread it fairly, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But the
mm-hmm,
fact that the United States pays such a higher percentage, I mean, after all, they've got that free medicine over in those other countries. So let's hit them where it hurts. Let's make
mm-hmm.
their insurance companies at this nationalized, socialized healthcare, let them pay the higher prices, you know.
Yeah.
And that's just my opinion.
Well, and plus too, I was thinking, okay, what if 20, 30, 40 years down the road after we have taken this vaccine, because the vaccine is, well, we're doing genetic stuff here, where
Right.
they're using RNA in it, and I was thinking maybe we'll get some beneficial side effects from it, like no more Down syndrome, maybe.
Yeah.
Uh, no more cerebral palsy. No
Right.
more liberals. Uh,
I wish there was. I wish there was a vaccine for that. That should be mandatory.
but that would be awesome if the beneficial side effect was it finally, we
You're
did away with the
some of
Down
these.
syndrome.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
all of a sudden, there's this big drop off worldwide
Right.
of birth defects. I mean, even
Yeah.
what I have,
Right.
arthrogryposis, is a birth defect. I mean,
Right.
what if the beneficial side effect causes us to either curtail or totally eliminate a lot of these birth defects?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that'd
Yeah.
be kind of cool.
That would be cool. I mean,
Mm,
I I'm sitting there thinking, do I want to take it? Don't I want to take it?
mm,
And uh, I I remember the '70s and the swine flu shots. You know,
mm,
not the ones that was here. I don't know, back in the what was it, early 2000s, that bad swine flu, but the one we had in the '70s. I've never taken a flu shot since. We had to take them because in the service they get,
oh
we were
yeah.
we had to take them.
Mm-hmm.
We almost destroyed our military because we were the first ones that they were
Mm-hmm.
putting up there. Our whole base, Davis Monthan Air Force Base, was shut down for about 3 weeks because everybody was too sick. It was hitting
Mm-hmm.
in phases.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
Yeah,
plus,
like Grant says, it could go the other, and I was thinking this too. It could go the other way and cause new problems.
yeah, it could be. I like to be optimistic.
Yeah,
I,
and
I, like Agent Orange, we had no idea this
oh yeah,
herbicide was going to cause so much. Oh, how about thalidomide? That was originally from morning sickness.
yeah, yeah. And look at what it did.
And
Yeah,
now we found out, hey, this helps people with leprosy. So
right.
there's beneficial uh,
Yeah, but wasn't it also
properties.
that? Oops, hang on a second.
Okay, we're hanging.
Hello,
All
you
right,
need some help?
I'll knock.
Yeah, knock
Are
me
you
out.
okay? Alrighty. Yeah, so that would be interesting if this turns out to be a huge benefit to mankind. Then everybody will be looking to Donald Trump did that. Then Donald Trump could say, "Yeah, remember Down syndrome? Yeah, I got rid of that. Yeah, remember cerebral palsy? Yeah, we got rid of that too." So that would be really funny if, very ironic if that were to happen, and then years down the road, the Democrats we could just let them eat crow. Say, yeah, remember when you guys didn't want us to? Yeah, how about that? That's kind of cool. So we got there's I guess they stopped counting ballots down in Georgia. They're finished there. I think they've finished up the recount in Pennsylvania. I think they're getting ready. I think Trump administration or the legal team they paid to have a recount in Wisconsin. I don't know how much that's going to change. It's just going to show that it's going to be the same numbers. There might be a change, but it'll be so small that it won't be big enough to overcome the deficit that the president has. But anyway, so it looks like Lloyd is back. Let's wait for him to get his earpiece in, and he's ready to go. Let's welcome
Okay,
back.
all right.
Lloyd
Here
is
we go.
back. We were talking about the lawsuits that are going on to force a recount. Um, and I'm in agreement. I think there's fraud. Yep, there's fraud, but is there enough fraud there to change anything? I don't know. But here's the thing that can concerns me is I think there's enough fraud there to make me believe that I'm not, you know, uh, I don't think it's secure. I don't think the
Oh
numbers
yeah,
are what they are. And what is that word I'm trying to think of? Um I'm not very confident in
right,
our election system because we, like you mentioned last week, that we need a unified
right, right.
way of doing everything.
Yeah,
And
we this election has. I mean, it's been going on for 20 years. You know,
hmm
it's the hanging Chad and all of this
yeah,
stuff. It's been a
hmm
mess ever since, and we really need to have a system
hmm
uh, that we can all feel secure in. You know, that we have
yes, yeah,
and I honestly, I think I'm like Rick just put it up in the chat. Every state needs to be looked at.
hmm
Uh, I don't think that's going to happen this election, but I think it's one that we need to. I did hear that, and I mentioned her name earlier. What was it?
Sidney Powell,
Sidney Powell.
yeah.
She said this is the same system and the same setup that they used to help elect Hugo Chavez.
Oh yeah, the Dominion
Yeah,
software,
yeah,
yeah,
and I've heard that on
hmm
more than one channel.
yeah,
Uh, Here's the thing. I think, of course, Pennsylvania just the district judge threw out the lawsuit. Well,
mm,
now they'll be going to and filing at the appellate, and they feel they have a preponderance of evidence, and that's that. See, in a civil case, they don't have to have without a reasonable doubt. They just have
ah,
to have a preponderance of
right,
evidence, and
hmm
they feel that they do. And I think it should be allowed to go through to its final, uh,
hmm
its final, however it turns out,
final conclusion,
final conclusion. Yeah, is it going to change things? I don't know. It depends on how
yeah.
well, uh, how well the courts deal with it, what they allow and
Well,
what they
yeah,
don't
how
allow.
well that the Trump team can show that there's any evidence of overwhelming
Yeah,
fraud
I
that
think she said in at least several states, but one of the best examples I heard was it's amazing. There's no way you can flip a coin and have it land on heads every time, unless
hmm
it's a rigged coin.
hmm
168,000 votes just show up for Biden
hmm
and no Trump votes.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
that.
and how about the votes that came in that had no down ticket votes?
Yeah,
I mean, to me, that sounds odd. I
yeah.
mean, what are the odds of how many ballots were like that? Do you know off the top of your
I
head? I know it's thousands that were
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like that, and I'm like,
I've
to
heard a
me,
number of
that sounds like this is my thinking about that. Why that came about? I think what happened was uh, the union shop people probably said, "Here, sign this document,"
right.
and it was a ballot, and the people signed it, and they just all they did was mark Biden, and that was it, and they turned it in, and that's how they got so many votes that were for Biden and no uh, ticket
Yeah.
votes.
Well,
I mean,
there.
I could see it if it was, a few votes here and there that were scattered around the state,
Right.
but if they're
It.
coming from one county or one precinct or
Yeah.
district,
Yeah.
then that makes me
And
very
it's
suspicious.
there's
Now
just too
here's
much.
pardon,
There's just too much uh,
coincidence.
coincidence. Yeah, and I don't
Yeah,
believe in coincidence. Not in
yeah,
something like this. You know, and it's just
mhm,
not in Pennsylvania and Michigan. It's it's I think one of the few states that hasn't been questioned, which I actually mentioned earlier here, and when talking about the hanging chads, I think after that, Florida finally did something. I talked to Jim Boyd right after that, and
Yeah.
he said they were all mailed a ballot, but
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to vote in person, so he had to take that ballot in and show that he wasn't voting on that ballot, and he had to sign, he had to show his ID. You know, even if they mail out ballots and you want to go vote, you've got to surrender the mail in ballot to
Right.
go vote, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something like that is perfectly okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they should be sending out mail in ballots. I think they should be requested.
Yeah.
Now, you have a certain
Mm-hmm.
amount of time to do it. I also agree
Mm-hmm.
that uh, election day should be a federal holiday,
Mm-hmm.
simply
Yeah.
so that gives you the opportunity to go vote.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Now, I just heard from the Supreme Court of the United States just announced that they have uh, given each justice a a part of the country that they're going to be uh, associate with. Like just in case this has to come down, if this goes all the way up to the Supreme Court,
right.
you know, uh, this justice will have these states, this just, and there is a good possibility that this could come down to where the Supreme Court just says, "Hey, we're not confident with these votes. We're going to have to go to Congress,"
Yeah,
and I think that's where Trump's going to win because we have more conservative states than uh,
right, right.
liberal states, and I think he will. And that's going to cause a lot of problems because there's going to be a lot of snowflakes and Antifa types that are just going to get pissed off and they're going
Yeah,
to say, "Oh, this election was stolen," and blah, blah,
right.
blah.
There's Michael Blade.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
Uh,
Michael.
yeah.
Uh, so I just thought, here's our last topic of the day.
Okay.
We got Thanksgiving coming up Thursday,
Right.
and this would be a great opportunity to talk about how this country dipped its toe into socialism. And it takes place back that first year with the Pilgrims. That was part of the
Yeah.
Mayflower
The
Compact.
Mayflower
And
Compact. Yeah.
the compact was about certain groups were going to do this kind of work, and this group was going to do this. And what happened that first year, Lloyd?
Well, they almost starved to death.
That's right,
Yeah.
because though there were some that didn't feel like, why should I have to work so hard for
Yeah.
so and so?
Yeah.
So what did they do after that? They
Well, they.
divided up the property,
Yeah.
evenly amongst the different families. And guess what? What happened after that?
Well, they
They
prospered.
had an abundance of food
Right. Yeah.
and goods and stuff. So
Yeah. Well, and that's always is the problem when you have you say a certain group of people are going to do this and certain well, it's sort of like, why should I think one of the best ones is there's a cartoon out. Well, it's a CGI animation, and it's Ronald Reagan talking to a young President Obama about socialism. And you got Hillary Clinton's out there, Michelle, and you got
hmm
Bill Clinton.
hmm
Bill was a slacker, and then you had Jimmy Carter, and but you have all these figures, and some of them were studied hard, and got
Mm-hmm.
straight A's, whereas Bill Clinton and a couple of the others were slackers,
Mm-hmm.
and they they didn't they would have flunked or they got a D, but what happened was they decided to use a socialist uh, hierarchy and they averaged it out. Well,
Uh-huh.
eventually the guys that were working for straight A's realized that they're going to get a B or C anyway, so why should they work so hard? So the collective in the end ended up becoming uh, the standards became lower and lower and lower because
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yep.
and instead of flunking out the slackers and promoting the hard workers, they all became slackers,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what happens with
Mm-hmm.
socialism. That's what happens with welfare.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens with all of these sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, and only the people in control, like the head of the the teacher of the class, he's the one who controls everything up there. And
Mm-hmm.
he says, same with socialism. The dictator, the head of it, the president,
Oh, and they lived very well.
they live very well because
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones in
Mm-hmm.
charge. They have to do all this hard work deciding how they're going to make everybody average.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's right. And so the moral of the story: there's no free lunch, and there's no such thing as total equality.
yes,
There's always going to be, uh, I mean, it's all part of human nature. Some people have gifts that they're very good at. I mean, like an athlete, a football player
right,
who's very good at what he does, and he gets paid accordingly
yeah,
because out of all the people in the whole United States, only a few hundred of them, out of 330 million people, only a few hundred of them are good enough to excel to play in pro football. And that's why their salaries are what they are. I mean, it's not fair, but
yeah.
that's
I
just.
was going to say I don't like. I think it's ridiculous that we're paying people an outrageous salary to. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, they're for the average football player, the
Mm-hmm.
average professional football player. Yeah, they get those big contracts in the beginning, but they probably only got 5, 10 years work
Yeah,
time,
that's
and
right.
not all of them are going to get the endorsements. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to end
Mm-hmm.
up working as used car salesmen somewhere. If they haven't invested that money, well then too bad.
Yep, that's
There's a
right.
lot of there's been a lot of people with Super Bowl rings that have ended up
Gone
jumping in the
broke.
gutter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
And you don't know if, okay, you're a rookie and you just got this big contract, and all of a sudden you blow out a knee or you
blow out a
break a
knee. Yeah,
hip. Well,
yeah.
there's your future salary down the drain. So,
There's a
um,
gentleman up here that I'm friends with. He played for the Seattle Seahawks.
mhm.
He's a Vietnam veteran. He went to Vietnam. He came back. He did a walk in or walk on for the University of Tulsa. He was a place kicker.
Mm,
He went on. He played for 4 years with Seattle. Eventually, which seems to be where all of our second and third string football players
mhm.
end up at is Seattle. Uh, but he ended up blowing his knee, and as a place kicker, that's definitely not a good thing. So,
Mm,
uh, but he came out of it okay. Fortunately for him, he was a big deal in Muskogee, even though he was a little deal in the state. And
right.
but and his brother was a mobster, and so had access to diamonds and jewels and stuff. And he's now a jeweler, you know.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
his brothers living in uh, Buenos Aires
Oh, okay.
in
Now,
exile.
there is another football player from Oklahoma who played very well, and he played for the Detroit Lions for several years. And now, doesn't he have a rib joint in
Billy
Oklahoma?
Sims, yeah,
Yeah. Mm,
yeah. Billy Sims is one that played for. Yeah, he has, and it's some good. I gotta admit, it's a franchise. It's
Mm-hmm.
uh, we got rib joints all over this place, and some of them are, you drive up and you can smell the smoker cooking when you pull up there.
uh,
Billy Sims is more of a fast food rib joint, but
oh,
they're real ribs. They're baby backs, you know, and they're pork ribs. And but oh my God, they are good. And but yeah, and again, like you say, it's not fair that these football players get played so much. But you're right. There's those that, and it goes with everything. Uh, I mean, I like to gripe and complain about our law enforcement officers aren't paid
mm-hmm.
enough. But oh, there's Chris Hope. Hello,
Hey,
nephew.
Chris.
But yeah, we socialism doesn't work. Everybody's in. I honestly think we need to bring back trade schools. I think we need to
Yeah.
get away from these liberal arts degrees. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Well, I think what really screwed up college and what really drove up the tuition costs was uh, faculty. It now runs the schools,
yeah,
and they kept adding all these nonsense classes, which I call basket weaving classes.
yeah,
Like women's studies, black studies, Latino studies, gay studies, queer studies, this
yeah.
study, that study, and that just adds more costs to an education. And what do people get out of those classes?
Well, and
It's
that's
just more division. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, you learn something about those people, but that's what sociology is all about.
right. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I took a government class, or no,
mhm,
a history class. I was required to take American history. I have my degree is a minor in history, mainly English history, but I had to take American history to get the degree.
mhm,
And I took a class, and the guy's name was Professor White, and he wasn't white; he was black. First, first day out of the box, he starts bringing up, uh, and I noticed and I jumped in the class towards I needed to get in there and get out of the way. So I'm like, okay, his slot was open. There weren't any others open. So I took it, and he started talking about the how terrible it was about slavery. I'm not going to
mhm,
argue that slavery wasn't a bad deal. It was terrible, and
mhm,
but then he started bringing in slave papers from his ancestors, and he
mhm.
started talking. And after the third day of class, I just got up and I said, my ancestors never owned slaves. I was never a slave owner. My father, my grandfather. I don't think this is an appropriate history class. I want to learn about all history, not just black history. So I will be dropping out of the class. And I walked out, and
Mhm.
I went over to the dean of students and said, and mind you, I was older than a lot of the people there because I'd already been in the service, you know,
Right.
in my 6 years and came back, and I'd seen stuff around the world that these young people had no clue was out there.
Mhm.
And I went over to dean of students and explained exactly. I filed a complaint against him. Well, he had to finally back off of that, but I quit his class, and then the next semester I picked up my American history class from somebody who taught the good, the bad, and the ugly
Right.
of
Yeah.
all American
That,
history.
and
And
that's the way it should be.
yeah, and that's what it should
Yeah.
be because there's part of
Mm.
our heritage is good, part of it's bad, But I thought this was, and 99% of the people taking that class knew they were black, they were African American, and they knew that that's what he taught, and that's what he was doing. He was indoctrinating them,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
he eventually finally uh, he got enough complaints that and of course, mind you, this is an ag college, an agricultural
Yeah.
college, And
Mm.
most of these guys are going there to learn how to raise cattle, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or raise crops, or you know, or do stuff like that. I mean, this college still
Yeah.
has a
Yep.
shooting club. Uh,
Uh-huh.
they have a safe there. My son, he's the one who is it, matter of fact, the safe he has now used to be the old armory safe, and he bought it for $100 and brought it home when they got a new one. But yeah,
Uh,
so this is an ag college. This isn't a liberal arts college.
yeah. That's true. That's true. And that gives me. We'll touch on this just a little bit. One of the candidates that's running for Senate in Georgia is a oh God, who? What's the name of Obama's preacher? It says
Oh,
chickens
Reverend
are
Wright.
coming home to
Yeah,
roost.
Reverend Wright.
Reverend Wright. This
Yeah,
guy is in the same mold as
yeah,
Reverend Wright.
yeah, yeah.
So I hope this guy gets thumped big time.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm. So
yeah. We definitely gonna have
that's
some
how
new.
we're gonna close this
Yeah,
show. So
yeah.
Lloyd, we did a little over an hour, and I
Yeah, we
want to
did.
thank you again, as always. And
Always
you
enjoy it.
folks in the chat, thank you for stopping by. And please tell your friends about the show. Let's get the word out. I know it's been a slow day. Everybody's getting ready for the holidays.
Holidays.
So uh,
Yeah, I'll be starting
everybody
my.
have a great Thanksgiving.
Yep.
God bless you and eat a lot of turkey. Lloyd, closing thoughts.
Well, just thanks for having me on here. Uh, my video that goes up tomorrow will be the start of season 4, because it was. Uh, I'll finish the end of my third season. I started the week of Thanksgiving, and so that's when I changed my season. So Monday will be the beginning of season 4, and I'm still plugging away. I ain't growing any, but I'm still plugging away. And appreciate you having me on here and giving me the opportunity to get my name out there. And I always enjoy the politics with you, Art.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and take care, everybody, and catch you next time. Bye bye.